Good, man.
Too bad I don't drink. Do it,
Exactly, right? For real. Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Real Talk to You. Hope you guys are all chiming in. Do me a favor. Share the live. I need y'all to share the live, all right? Last week, our last live, we got about 1,300 views on that. So things are happening. We're making some moves. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and shout out My Life is Shirts. As you see, he sponsored the show today. I have on My Life is shirts today. And Fontez has on one. We got one for almost everybody here. So My Life is Shirts. Check him out on Instagram. Has the hottest shirts. We do have ladies too. All of you gonna see later on the after show. She's gonna pop in her little shirt over here. Big E got the black college one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, Duke got the black college one. So everybody check it out. My Life is Shirts on Instagram. All right. So we're gonna get the show started. Real Talk to You. As you see, we got all male cast. There's a lot of brothers on this show for a change, and we got something to talk about. Something that everybody's kind of been wondering about, and I get questions about a lot. It talks about like men and how we deal with our emotions, and also how we interpret our emotions, how it's interpreted by others. So I got a full cast. I'm gonna introduce everybody. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all know who they are, and of course, make sure you get the Instagram and everything at the end of this show. So I'm gonna start on my far right, your left. I got Big Dude.
Repping the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Hey, yes,
okay.
Representing Ohio State. Okay.
In Georgia.
Yeah, you did.
In Georgia. I love it. Next, we got LM.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Repping Tupac.
Yeah,
that shirt from?
got to give it up for the legend.
Yeah.
That shirt kind of nice, though, bro.
One of a kind, you know.
Word up.
That shirt kind of nice. Next, we have one of our special guests for the night. He runs a poetry session that happens here in Lithonia every second Friday. The next session is going to happen on December 14th. Lithonia, Georgia, please. Next session is going to happen December 14th. I want to make sure I get his name right. So I'm going to say it real slow. It is Sin's Ear Sincere. Did I get that right? Okay, yeah, all right. You got it. I want to make sure I got that right. I want to make sure I got all of that right. Next up, of course, we have Fontez, another hot poet out in these streets doing his thing. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, gotta make sure. And as usual, I'm your host, Real. So we're talking about men and how we see emotions. Interesting thing is, the reason I got into this topic is because I had some questions the other day about, you know, do men actually feel the same way women feel about certain things? My answer to that, hell no, we don't feel the same way women feel. It's the reason we don't feel the same way. We're men. We interpret things differently. Now, we might have situations that may pertain to some things women may understand, but let's get it straight from jump. And I know Duke has said this before. With a hammer. Everything to us is a nail. We don't handle emotions like everybody else. We don't need to handle emotions like everybody else. When you're dealing with a king, it ain't gonna be the same way. Dude, what you think about that, man? The whole explain to the people again the hammer and the nail, my brother.
In what sense?
In the sense of dealing with women, because I think that's where I used to get this question. They say, how come men don't deal with certain things a certain way? Here's a good example. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So my ex, she's like, hey, you know what's going on with the kids? And I'm explaining to her, I'm like, yo, this Christmas, I ain't buying them nothing. She says, why not? I said, because they ain't respect me. They're not being respectful. Now, granted, they're not being completely disrespectful, but the other day, here's a situation for y'all down south folks. My kids left the house the other day and didn't even say bye. They walked out. I'm standing in here. They walked out the door and say not a word and locked the door.
Oh no! Man.
Do you understand? I got in my car, drove to the bus stop. I said, "Let me tell you, disrespectful." I leaned out my window like I was doing a drive-by with a finger. I'm like, "Let me tell you, disrespectful little." I gave it to him. And the reason I gave it to him because obviously I understand they're kids. They probably don't understand these little rules and things like that, but they gotta understand these rules. That's why I got him early with it. Now, with that being said, their grades ain't where they need to be. So this goes to your point about what I mean by that. When I was telling my ex about what happened, she's like, oh yeah, that's kind of messed up. And I said, you know what, if for Christmas, I'm not giving them anything. She says, why not? I said, because this is not how you should treat people that take care of you.
Absolutely.
She says, okay, yeah, ditto, I'm not gonna get them anything either. I text back like, you lying. Your little sensitive little mommied up self gonna buy him some. Because as men, you have to learn from the hard rules. You can't, there's no safety net. So to us, we gotta hammer things in. We gotta make sure they get our point across.
This is what it is.
This is what it is.
I
Exactly. That's the point I'm talking about, how men and women see things. So explain to them about the hammer and the nail, because I know you talked about it on one episode and had folks trying to figure out what you was talking about.
But when I was talking about it, was more on the intimacy level.
Okay.
You know, in regards of the men being the hammer and the women being the nail, they tend to be at the force of the man. So in situations where cheating comes into place,
Okay.
it's harder for a man to accept that because they know how other men treat women. So they just think about what their spouse, their significant other, was being treated by that particular man. So we tend to internalize that and hold on to that. And we can forgive, but we don't forget. And
Hell no.
typically when we don't forget, we tend to do transference. We treat them differently than we would have if that wouldn't have happened. So in
Agreed.
regards,
Agreed.
so when I talk about the hammer and the nail, I always feel that sometimes women will say, well, equal, why can't we be the same as men? I'm like, well, the difference is that
Not happening.
if you live in an alternative lifestyle, as a woman, ask how would you like if you knew your man was being Danelle? Would that be something that you'd be attracted to? That would be something that you want to be with? Probably not. If you're heterosexual,
Yeah.
you know. But if you don't mind that, you might be okay. But typical, most men are the hammer. They typically the ones who are forceful, and when it comes to the intimacy sense, you know, hey,
That goes without saying.
that's what I was saying. We
Exactly.
know, as men, we know what we do,
Yeah.
and sometimes when we don't even care about a woman, we do even more dirt and treat them dirty. So when we sit here thinking that the woman that we win, we got ego. We don't based on ego, man.
There you go.
We egotistical.
And pride.
So the fact of the matter is, when we dealing with a woman, we like, she ain't gonna cheat on me.
Yeah.
She ain't gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm the person that's handling that.
Oh, no,
And
she
then
ain't
you
gonna
find
do
out that, damn, she stepped out.
Oh yeah, ego bro.
In your mind, you like, wow, because you know what guys do. And you know if you have stepped out, what you have done. So you sitting there and it causes issues where, to the point where, you know, as a woman might say, well, that doesn't seem right, or that's, you know, going back and forth. But
Right.
we look at it as more they've taken the punishment. We're the one that's picking them up. We're the one that's turning them over. We're the one that's slapping them on the ass.
Well,
We're the one that's doing all types of. I never been involved with a woman who did that to me, and that won't happen. You know what I'm saying?
If they did, it would be women.
At that point,
You know what I mean?
bug out.
You gotta be careful with that. We all in the line.
You know, gotta be careful.
Yeah, to remind you. You had to remind us, didn't you?
Right.
So we know what we do.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is that, you know, that's where the hammer and the nail come into play, and we think in that fashion. We think in that matter because we know that we do certain things and we don't forgive.
Yeah.
You know, we forgive,
It's hard
but
to
we
forget.
don't. We say we forgive,
Right.
but we really don't.
Exactly.
Always in the back of
I gotta agree
It's
with
always
that.
in the back.
I gotta agree with that.
So sincere.
Sincere.
What's your interpretation on what my brother just said?
Oh man, that's facts. Big old facts.
Big old Duke.
Man, listen. When we find out that our woman's been touched by
She didn't say
somebody
it like
else,
that. Oh my God.
He can stop right there. That's enough. He can stop right there. Just the thought.
Yeah.
Just the thought.
Just that
in
thought.
your head.
Like everybody in here, every man in here got a feeling when I said what I just
God.
said.
Yeah.
Whew.
Like there's something in the pit of your stomach that happens as the notion of your lady being touched
Yes, sir.
by somebody else other than you.
You will never
That's
forget it.
correct.
Absolutely not.
Never forget it.
And then we punish ourselves with that thought over and over
Absolutely.
and over again.
Oh yeah.
Based on the
Absolutely.
details or what's not there, what she's not saying, how she's moving.
Yes.
Like we scrutinizing everything.
Everything is questioned. You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
You
right.
sit there and think about that shit for hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the one day you don't think about it, the next day. Every day ain't gonna be the same. The next day you
Come
like,
straight to you.
And
she's sleeping a little bit
And
long.
the crazy thing is that we don't want details, but we want details.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
You know, we like,
Right.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't even want to know.
You want to hear that it wasn't nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He touched my hand. That's it. That's what I got.
But in your head, it's like, oh, I bet she was doing that thing with him. Man, I know she did that thing. I like.
That's what you want to hear. Brother like me be outside, do the house with a 45. Walk outside, just look at me like you touched my woman. Take the garbage out. He looked like he was messing up. The way he hold that garbage can, looked like he was messing. Man,
Dude, it's the garbage man. Leave it alone, man. It's his job.
Real. Fontaine, what you think about that statement though that Duke was talking about?
Man, I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I've been having that conversation with a few females, man, because I've never seen things on an even playing field. And to ladies, like, if y'all could just catch this one thing, like seeing how everything that we're saying, how we're taking that if you all get touched, if you all cheat on us, that just places, like, understand that is, for us, we're placing a certain level of value. We value you so much that if we're able to have you in our possession, don't take that the wrong way. I know how that's.
You already know how that's going.
I know.
Glad you cleared it up.
You know what I'm saying?
That ain't a property.
Yeah, we're not talking property.
Right.
But if we can get down to the dynamics of the full nature of it, like we are the conquering, the conquering individuals, you know, and you all are more of the submissive,
The hunter.
the hunter.
Yeah,
we're
the
that. We're to
You know, that's
attain
word now.
that
Submissive,
value.
submissive.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I agree with it. Like I said, wholeheartedly, man. It's a level of value that all men place on, I believe, all women. And when we have a woman that we can call our own, and that is in any way compromised, like that's something internal for us that we don't know how to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Ellen, what you think about that statement?
I agree. I mean, because when you think about it, as a man, as a king, we'll go ahead and use that reference.
Okay.
A king is very prideful, walks with his head up, never looks down, never looks back. He's sure of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in my world is going wrong. You can't see anything on his shoulder. All of a sudden, that takes away his powerfulness. You just took away his power because now he's unsure about something.
Chicken on.
And that's why we take it so hard, because now we like unsure about everything at that point.
Right.
Like, oh, well, a girl's going wrong, so if anything else goes wrong, like, oh my God, maybe I'm not as powerful as I thought I was, or maybe all my pride and all my strength I'm all off now. My numbers are off now. So I completely agree with that.
Well, back to Fontaine's point about property. You are my property. I'm going to tell you straight up. And I'm going to tell you why I said it. I'm going to tell you exactly why I said it. Because I look at it like this. The only thing that defines me, and this is my own opinion, my own,
I already know you're going.
is the property that I provide for. Now, it's been said that men provide, women rely. Now, let me explain what that means. That means I'm the provider. I have to figure out a way to take care of my situation. So basically, back to the whole, if you like the word hunter better, I bring the food home. That means I bring whatever I can to provide for you to take care of my family. What happens with you as a woman, how I interpret it is, you're relying on me to do this, and I'm now bringing something to you. Now you, the more creative, the more intuitive understanding of how to take care of a family and how to actually operate in a world where it has to deal with emotions and all that type of stuff, can take what I bring back and turn that into gold, turn that into something. You know, you can make it better than what it is. That's what I say. You rely on me to bring you something, for you to be the wizard and create something out of it. I'm going out and I'm finding a piece of wood. I bring the wood back. You take the wood, you turn it into a table. You know, just take it to that thought process.
Genius.
Exactly. And I never take anything away from women. You guys are genius. You bring life. As we learned from one episode, the reason that the woman walks on the inside of the man when they're on the street away from traffic is because they are the bringer of life.
Right.
Which means that you protect the bringer of life, because I can't reproduce another one.
Absolutely.
But you can reproduce another one.
Yeah.
Right.
So you protect the one that can actually bring forth. Just like the queen bees, they're protected by the other, what they call the soldier bees, because they are the worker bees, because everyone understands the person that can bring life is who you got to protect. And that's how I look at it. So when I say men provide, women rely, I do mean that. And to Fontez's point that he didn't want to get into, but I tell you, you are my property. Just like some of these brothers on the panel now, things have happened to us. I've been cheated on, you know, in the worst way. and I've cheated on others. So it's just karma. And I'm okay with that.
Now you know, but you know how it feels, though.
Yeah.
You know how it feels, though.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, hey, D. Smith. Oh, it is? Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and change up a little bit, just in case. She's talking about connections breaking up every now and then. Make sure know, okay, cool. Well, don't worry, D. We'll keep it. Don't worry, catch us on YouTube, too. The Real Talk to You on the YouTube page. So we'll have it up and going. But the whole thing is that when you get cheated on as a man, there's a thing called ego.
Yeah.
Now, I was sharing this earlier about ego. And I think also Sincere was talking about this, and also LM and Duke was talking about this. Let me explain something to you about ego. Now, as a man, I'm judged by enough other people outside of my relationship that I have to be this certain way. And the reason I'm getting this conversation, because now we're going to talk about the definition of a man. It's not just how I'm seen by others, which is one definition. It's also how I'm seen by my spouse, my wife, my girl. That's another definition. I don't really, how you seen by your kids is an interesting thing too, because when it comes to raising them. But the one thing, once again, that makes you a man is your property, your woman, your thing that you have at home and how she sees you. Another comment that I've heard before is that men are not, I guess the best way to put it is that we're vulnerable based on our hearts when it comes to trust. So a woman who guards her body a certain way, men, we guard our hearts a certain way because that's our vulnerable spot. So when I talk about definition of a man, I had to learn going through my divorce what being a man really meant to be. And I found out the hardest way. The hardest way. Because every time somebody said something, every time somebody wanted to make a remark about my divorce, I felt I had to stand up and protect myself and say something.
Right.
I felt like I had to get up and say, no, that's not what it is. What up, Vince? I'm going to catch you tomorrow, man. Happy birthday. It's like, that's not what it is. I really felt that I had to do that every 5 seconds. So what's going on with your divorce? Oh, well, you know what's going to happen this way. I remember I went into a point where I would talk about my divorce so much to everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I felt I had to put forth what happened with me before anybody else got to it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm this and that. And I wasn't good. I wasn't.
Pain.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a whole lot of pain.
That's pain. That's hurtful pain.
It was a whole lot of pain.
That's
That ego.
It's the ego.
Yeah.
And the one thing I realized, and this is my definition of a man, I'm going to go through my panel and try to find out what their definition of a man is. The one thing I realized, being a man has nothing to do with how many times I got to stand up. It has a lot to do with how many times I don't have to get up and show that I'm a man. It's when you don't have to show you a man is when you're a man. If I have to prove that I'm a man every single time I meet any conflict, every single time I feel like I'm being challenged by my ego or someone else is challenging my presence and my space on this earth, if I got to stand up and prove something, I'm obviously not a man.
Absolutely.
It's the fact I don't have to prove something that makes me a man. Someone gets in my face and says, what's up, man? Let's go ahead. The best way to break down this way. Somebody gets in my face and wants to fight me. I'm okay with that. I don't have to fight you. I don't have any quarrels with you. You mad at me because something that happened that you interpreted wrong? I'm not about to get up and get with you like that because I'm a man.
Exactly.
I don't have to choose to do anything you bring forth to my presence.
That's true.
And in that same thought process, women, your emotions will not dictate how I move on this earth. So even though we're talking about being in a relationship, your emotions aren't my emotions. I have to be a man about mine. So I can't let another woman bring me to a point emotionally that's going to make me do something. I had to learn how to be a man, unfortunately, through my worst time. So the question goes, I'm going to start with Sincere. Actually, no, I'm going to start with LM. Being a man, define your interpretation of being a man.
Well, definitely pride. A whole lot of pride, a whole lot of ego. Depending on the guy, I mean, ego could be a lot more than all the rest of that. But emotions, I'm gonna say we do have emotions, but as you say, we do guard it. It takes us longer to show emotion and express feelings. We don't feel it like women do, where they can just express it right away. We feel as if it's something you got to dig into. Excuse me. It's something you got to dig for, and it takes a little time. And I know a lot of women get upset with us because they say, well, you don't tell me what you're feeling, and I don't understand. You're not telling me enough. But that's just because that's just who we are. It takes a while. We don't tap into those feelings every day, and we don't share those feelings every day. So It's not something we just like, hey, you know what? I feel like I love you today. This is the first day I feel like I love you. That's just not how we do
Say
it.
it like that, you know, you hit in the face.
I mean, but see,
the first day. Oh, for real?
but see, a woman can come to us and just tell you that because
That's
I mean,
true.
they will just, you know what? I really like you, and I'm feeling this way about you.
That's true.
And you make me feel real special. And that's and to me, I'm like, oh, okay. But
Facts.
to get us to come to you and initiate that first conversation to say that, you know what? You, well, not you per se.
I'm with you.
Let me make sure I'm looking at you.
Don't get a little weird.
Like, it got a little weird, a little awkward there for a second.
I gotta go. Ain't what that funny stuff, man.
And you notice when he looked at me, I turned my head. I said, hold on. We gonna look straight this way.
See, this is real man in action. It's all right, brother. It's all right.
But it's different for us. So like, what I'm feeling is, okay, I can tell a woman like, in my head, she's the most beautiful person in the world.
Yeah.
But I don't think a woman would actually know exactly how you mean it because they're used to, if they're beautiful, you're not the first person to say that they're beautiful. So I don't know how high that value goes. So it's kind of hard for me to just be like, hey, you know what, you're beautiful. And then she's going to look at you like, okay, well, how do you feel I'm beautiful? Then you got to describe it and explain it. But that's just the thought that we have in our head. It's just, I thought that was plain and simple. Okay, you want an explanation for that. What makes you beautiful? Okay, so I mean, it's just hard for us to tap into those emotions and find the words to tell them exactly how we feel that way.
Okay.
And typically we respond like, well, you know what beautiful
Yeah.
looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, beautiful.
You know why I said what I said.
You know, beautiful. Definition 2.
That's you.
That's you. That's you.
So Fontes, define it for yourself, being a man. What is that definition for you?
I would say manhood is, to me, is being true to yourself and your sense of manhood. You know, whatever that means for any man, because I believe we're all multifaceted. So we're all able to carry different emotions. We're all able to carry the same emotions differently. You know, so just being true to yourself, being a protector of yourself and those around you and those that you were tied and connected to. That to me is ultimately the true meaning and the true essence of a man.
Hey, y'all saw he used like an $8 word, multifaceted.
Multifaceted. I was gonna say something, but I was like, don't do it.
I can't even spell it.
I was like, good word. I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to
Be
miss
honest,
this point.
I can't spell it. I know
Great
multi.
word.
I know multi. Like
got
multi,
that. That's
like
more than
multi-purpose
one.
cleaner,
That's more than one.
multi-purpose.
Yeah,
You know,
more than one.
I know that.
Gotcha.
But when he said fast, I'm like, ooh, he deep.
We're gonna spell that after the show.
That's why I got these poets on. They can actually get their words out in so many different ways, and we'll probably do something else about words because KRS got a nice little YouTube about words and the words we use and how they're kind of limited by that. So we're gonna talk about that another day. But I still want to finish this point. So, Duke, I'm gonna throw it over to you, man. Definition of a man.
See, the thing is, for me, when I say a definition of a man, you know, I think it goes by tiers in age.
Okay.
Because when we young, you know, like you said, now at your age now, someone wants to fight you, like, man, yo, I don't need to prove myself to you.
Exactly.
Hey, that's back.
Not saying I can't handle myself.
Let's
That's
back-
please,
let's
you come for
back-
me. I'm gonna choke you out, but not unless you put your hands on me. I'm not violent.
But let's back up 5 or 10 years ago. Would that be the same process? You know, the thing is that as men, we always trying to get to the top of the food chain. I don't care where you at, workplace. You can go to the supermarket. You can go to the gas station. If you see another dude in there, you're gonna size him up. You just look at him like, okay, all right. Yeah, I might. Yeah, if something go down, I might have to bust him with a bottle. But you process those things, just like that. You go into the workplace, just by the way someone look, you be like, yeah, all right, they got some smarts. You know, you saw that's what men do. We can very competitive. So I always say that a definition of a man is something that, you know, hey, we're a species of individuals who can't be defined. You know,
Can't be defined.
I just think that when you find, as a woman, if you find a dude, you know, I don't know, you know, because I can't sit here and project and say what a man is supposed to do, you know, because hey, I do things that's different than what this man do.
That's true.
He's married. well, you know,
Right.
Technically,
It's complicated. It's complicated.
yeah.
Facebook stats.
But that's the thing, you know. You might, you know, you're not. I'm 6'8". You're 6 feet, whatever, right? Okay, 5'8", 5'8".
No, I appreciate the 6 feet.
But when you walk with your lady feels protected by you, right?
Absolutely.
She think that you know, you're like, yeah, I'm glad I'm walking with this man.
Right.
You know, so the thing is that you know, I think it's just a feeling that someone has to get, that the aura that you put off. You can tell someone who's a stand-up gentleman or just, you know, a boy. You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
Even men in their 40s, you can look at them and be like, damn, you still sagging your pants? You still doing this? You know, you can just pick that up, and then you can find someone who is, and you just have a few conversations with them. You be like, this person's sharp.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of those things for me. I just sit here and just say, I can't sit here and say what a man is going to do. What is a man? But I typically, I just typically just want to say that, hey, for me, you know, integrity, ambitious.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you know, I just been raised, how my father raised me is just not to rely on no woman to do anything. And I got a crazy story. I'm in college.
Oh yeah, please share.
Star athlete, you know, on campus, big man on campus.
Right.
Any car that I wanted, all I had to do was ask somebody, they give me the car. And you know, ladies always had them things, you take it off, you recline the seat back, try to make it seem like it's your vehicle.
With the little air freshener and the
I mean, one
trinkets
time, you know, over like winter break, I decided to go to this city to get a, you know, job during the break, 6-week break, talking to this girl at work. She's like, I'm gonna hook you up with my roommate. I said, okay, cool. This is back in the days with landlines, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm sitting here and, you know, I'm talking to her and I'm thinking, I'm spitting my game like, yo, why don't you come scoop me? She was like, scoop you? You ain't got no car? I was like, nah. But on campus, girls was
It didn't matter.
wanted to give you their car, you know what I'm saying? But they just want to give, they want, oh yeah, I'm with him, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I said, never again. My father told me that too, but it didn't register in my head.
You
Never rely on a
red
woman
light.
to do something for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And when she said that, that was in December. By July, I made sure I had a job. I had 2 pay stubs. I went to the bank.
He applied for a long ago.
I went to a bank and got my first whip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the things I just think that as a man, some guys take thrill out of just letting a woman take care of them.
Yeah.
I just can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I will go crazy. We'll break up because I'll be too mad. I'll be like, you know, even though they're helping me,
agree.
but I'll be so frustrated
I
with
agree.
myself.
Yeah, that
you know, that I just need to be alone. You
I
know
agree.
what I'm saying?
100%. I agree.
Man, a
I
different
feel
generation
the
right
same
there.
way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Exactly.
That's a different generation.
It's all right. You got something to say, man.
Oh,
Go
we
ahead.
wait. So
Go
let
ahead.
me tell you why I waited.
You know what I mean?
For Sincere to go. First of all, I want to make sure we showcase that book, please.
Yes.
So before I let Sincere talk about definition of a man, the reason I have him doing it because first of all, he has in-depth knowledge on a lot of these different topics. And the book is called The 30 Love Laws.
Absolutely.
You can pick it up on Amazon.com. Please do. And what's the other location you said?
The Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore, Lithonia.
The what?
The Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore in Lithonia.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the reason I want him to talk about that because first of all, the book that he wrote was with his wife. So that in itself shows
That's
growth
powerful.
as far as being a man.
Powerful.
Because we like to take over and do stuff on our own. We don't need nobody else's help. So there's a different type of point of view, and well, not different point of view, just they drink from a different water than I'm drinking from. That's all I'm saying. I ain't gonna say different point of view, just they drink from a different kind of water, you know. So Sincere, tell us now, as far as you and your experience, especially considering that you're connected to someone else that's from the rest of us here on the panel, we don't have that connection with another woman in that way, like marriage, where we're connected like that. Explain your definition of a man.
Beautiful. I'm glad y'all saved me to laugh.
Of course, I know what I'm doing.
I use 3 things for my definition, and that's history, science, and spirituality.
Okay.
And I came up with an acronym for MAN that says a man is mandatory action now.
Man is
So-
in action now. Okay.
So what does that mean? The masculine energy is responsible for two things in this entire universe. I don't care if we're talking plants, human beings, so forth and so on. And those two things are stability and environment.
Okay.
I don't care if we're talking a lion. I don't care if we're talking about these lions or kings. And women are responsible for two things in the universe. That's standard and growth. So nothing grows without a woman. The stability and the environment for that woman to nurture that comes from a man.
Okay.
So a man makes sure that a woman has a certain environment for her to do what she does. And that I heard the word submission.
Oh yeah.
And most people have a problem with that word because they don't really understand what it means.
Okay. Okay.
So here's what that means. Since nothing grows without the touch of a woman, and you hit on it.
Uh-huh.
The woman is a purveyor of life,
Okay.
right? So it's our duty to protect that,
100% sure.
right? So for things to happen organically, naturally, she has to pull back on some of that power.
Okay.
That's where that term submission comes in. She has to submit some of that power for a man to create an environment for her to do what she does naturally, which is nurture the entire universe.
Yes, sir.
So it's not about a woman taking a back seat to a man. It's about her putting back on some of that power to trust a man for him to do his thing to create an environment for her.
Now, so what I'm hearing,
I like how he said it.
yeah, I like how you said it. So if you had heard how we all kind of explained our different parts of man and stuff like that, and as you know, as being men, we had all of us use a woman in our definition. Now, obviously, in my definition, it was more of men provide, women rely, and I try to talk to the creativity of a woman. But essentially, what happens is, as Sincere was mentioned, there's a creativity, there's a genius, there's a intelligence of a woman that we know is there. Because to be able to take a step back and let your man lead,
Absolutely.
take what your man gives you and create something, that shows that you guys are the superior being, which is fine with us. I'm 100% fine with
That's
that.
smart.
But with that being said, you kind of have to understand being the superior being doesn't mean that you and I are going to connect based on your thought process, because I have a different thought process than you. You, creative, genius, beautiful piece of art. Me, as I guess the best way to put it, the hammer. I got to make a way for you.
Right. Absolutely.
So let me make the way for you. So I'm not going to interact the same way you make the way. Women are more nurturers. Men are more, aggressive. That just tends to be like the general idea of it. So you got to let us make the way. So that's exactly why I wanted Sincere to go last, because I knew I was going to get something from that we're just not used to.
And the thing is, what Sincere said about women, we ego, like we all agree to that. I don't know you from Adam, but we seem to agree on a lot of things. We don't know each other, so that tells you the universal language of men. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
we
right.
connect on a certain way,
Right.
but it's crazy if women just understand that. Hey, we're driven by ego, and all you got to say, man, the way you take out that garbage was awesome.
Oh my God.
Man, listen,
My chest is up. Put the garbage in. I'm walking like this.
You know what I'm saying?
How much more garbage? you got?
Let's take all the garbage out.
What you gonna say at first is, "Oh, you crazy," but then when you walk away, you like, "I took out that." I put the lid
Or you
down.
be like, hey babe, how that look? You know what I'm saying? We're ego driven. So just and that's the control that a woman can have over a man by just patting us on the back, patting them stats and giving us those types of compliments and whatnot. Hey, man, I like the the way you put up that picture. Wow,
Exactly.
it
I
was
would never
really
thought about
nice.
that.
Yeah.
To that same point,
Yeah.
and how we kind of do things. So in the opposite of that, men kind of process, hey, Carrie, what's going on? Topic for this evening, men, how we deal with emotions. What's going on, Carrie? So to that same point, and talking about exactly what you're talking about, but kind of flipping it, we get a pat on the back, we feel good, right?
Right, right.
And think about it, we're not jumping out going, oh, this is this or this is that. We just take the pat on the back, we keep doing it even better.
Right.
Vice versa, though, what happens when the woman doesn't pat you on the back? When it's more of a negative thing. See, one thing I want to make sure people understand, or try to understand about men and women is, Men, we process things inwardly. We take it to heart. Women tend to process things outwardly. Example, woman has a bad day at work. She come home. I can't believe this and this happened and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and da-da-da, and going off about Becky and how Becky stole her stapler and talking about how Becky trying to take her job and how the district manager don't like her either and she think the district manager sleeping with the head manager. All that stuff going on in her day because she processes it outwardly. She has to show that. Let me come home and let me have a bad day at work. Guess how I'm processing it. I need to sit down.
I don't talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. I want to sit down and watch TV, not be bothered.
Or go to the
And go to
bathroom.
bed.
You sit there so long that your legs fall asleep. You know what I mean?
That's real talk. That's real talk.
So, and that's how we process things. We're going to process things a little bit more inwardly. The reason we do that is because, once again, we're two different species out here, and that's how we look at the world. Now, because we process things inwardly does not mean at all that we don't have an emotion or don't have pain or don't feel it.
Right.
It just means it's a certain way we got to feel it. You got to understand, men are taught as men that anytime anything negative happens to you, tough it up.
Exactly. Don't be no punk.
Yeah.
See, when I was 5 years old, if I cried, I'd get punched in the chest and be like, man, you a boy.
Yeah.
You're strong. You a man.
Right.
So now I learned that at 5. At 35, at 38, at 40, I'm not going to relearn nothing else.
Right.
I've understood the fact that to be a man means that now if you want to try to unpack my lifestyle and teach me to be something else, it's not going to work. Because I got here based on that definition, and I don't know another
For
definition.
30 or 40 years.
Exactly. I don't know another definition.
To just all of a sudden just, hey, change the way you think and change the way you was taught and change the way you've been interacting. That's
Yeah, and that goes through even elementary,
That's
middle
crazy.
school.
Yeah.
Most of us all been bullied at least once.
definitely.
Did you go home and tell your parents? No.
No.
You toughen up and you be like, all right, next time, okay. You know, you hope that it doesn't happen again, but you learn how to protect your feelings and not show that you've been hurt.
Right.
And then as we get into adulthood, you know, we kind of maintain that same type of energy,
That's
which
true.
makes it really tough to get into relationships. That's why typically, you know, if you get in relationships as you get older, you're more apt to handle it than when you're young. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
You know, so
Yeah.
It's very true.
That's a good point.
And that's like I said, that's how we look at things. That's how we're taught to be men. There's no other definition for it. But the one thing why I had, of course, the poets on the show is because some of us may need to learn to be a man might mean to actually not necessarily show an emotion, but be able to have a piece of therapy for you. That's why I brought these guys on the show because so Fontez, I'm gonna start with you first. So when you have your poetry and what you're putting out in this world, how many pieces were inspired by something that may have challenged you at being a man?
Oh man.
Whether it been relationships, whether it been interactions with other people, how many times have you written based on that? Not necessarily written and put out there, but how many times have you written based on that?
Well, pretty much. I think the majority of, pretty much all of my pieces I've shared with somebody. But I would say because I actually wrote a book, but it's retired right now.
Man retired his book. It's
Yeah.
so good. He had to retire.
Well, no, it wasn't that. There's some
Put it up in
things
the
that
rafters.
Exactly, yeah.
There's some things that I feel the project may have been a little rushed, hindsight, and I just want to revamp some things with it. But the book is titled "Let Love Remain," and ultimately, what I express is my dealings with my heartbreak in the book, and so in that. It's two whole chapters that are expressions of my anger, my frustration, my pain, like all of that, my lack of forgiveness, all of that are in a series of poems in 2 chapters of my book. So I've definitely dealt with that, and as I continue to write, I continue to write my truth, my pains, frustrations with life, all of that. Like, it's a great deal of poems that are driven by my pain. Yeah.
Now you said it was rushed, the book, and the reason I bring this up because I know with poets, and that's another reason why I sometimes go up and do poetry, but I know with certain poets that they can't recite certain work if at the time they wrote this work, they were in a very high emotional place.
Oh no, I don't have a problem with that. Like,
Okay, so is your writing like therapy, or is it more like this was my anger at this point in time? This is like taking a picture. I can't go back and show people this picture of my pain every single time. Sometimes some poets have a problem with reciting a piece
Right.
that they wrote based on an emotion they're not over it.
Yeah, I can say that when I did do those poems, I could say that it was tough dealing with like the crowd. Not necessarily they were saying, "Oh, this is bad," but people asking, "Yo, how you doing?" And, like I don't like because there was a method to my madness, if you will.
Okay.
It wasn't like when I expressed those pieces, I may not have necessarily been in that same space because I was writing a book titled "Let Love Remain." So
Yeah.
I'm really just digging deep down within myself, you know, and certain one I probably one or two poems was written in anger at the time that I was actually angry. The other ones, you know, I just reflected on where I was. I knew how I felt. I was able to dig within myself and express how I was feeling because I think my time I probably finished like the chapter of unforgiveness and all that. I had already written some pieces for my message of hope and choosing to let love remain. So it's like I was already in transition from that stage to, you know, being more forgiving, and I still had my issues. I wasn't fully healed, but I can say that my poetry is revelation. I believe that it is therapeutic as well. It just comes from a place that sometimes I don't even know that's within me. Like, yeah,
That's good.
I feel like God just gives me, you know, the words to recite, and especially like in my book, a lot of that like that's just a real place like that I've been to.
Raw emotion.
Yeah, raw emotion.
Just
Like
let
it's
your
just
pen write for you.
yeah, and I become amazed of the work that, you know, God created through me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So do you still need that hug, man? Is that
Hey, you know how us men do. You can't get too, you know, like punching your chest.
Hey, man. That's all you get, man. Hey, look, I love you.
That's all you get.
I love you, man. Toughen up.
Toughen up, dude.
But that's another point of why, like, I think when you were talking about like the way that men and women process their emotions, being inwardly and outwardly, like women deal with inward trials that show outwardly, you know, such as menstrual cycles. That process shows outwardly.
Right.
Childbirth, which is probably the worst pain that anybody could feel, which is what women go through when they're bringing a child forward.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's outwardly. So women are able to learn more internally and I would say more psychologically how to deal with that internal pain, process it outwardly, because they still have to function.
That's deep.
You know, us men, we deal with outward pain and we try to handle it inwardly and try to deal with it outwardly. You know what I'm saying? And it's for us, it's like a level of transition that we have struggles
That's deep, brother.
with, you know, process.
Yeah.
That's deep.
That's
deep.
real. See, women deal with that emotion.
Yeah.
They're better versed.
Yeah. They have
You know, they can process that information where we have a problem processing that information, so we often act out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Like men not.
they get it out, they process it, they good.
Yeah.
With us, we internalize it, or better yet, sweep it under the carpet, and then it ends up destroying us from the inside out.
Right.
Same question to you, Sincere.
Yeah.
Pieces that you've written, have they had the same effect on you as far as, you know, developed you as a man? And did you let out any anger? Did you let out any type of like emotion at the time, or that caused that therapy to happen for you?
Oh, absolutely. For me, writing almost 25 years at the end of this year, my poetry has transitioned and grown and evolved as I've grown and evolved.
Okay.
So it went from being angry to I need to get this stuff out or I'm gonna bust
Okay.
or kill somebody. So it turned from that to okay, I feel better.
Yeah.
Since I was able to constructively express myself.
And you spit those pieces too.
No. Some of them, no. Like as a poet, we handle this art form in two different ways.
Okay.
Like we write as a poet, which you don't have to express or turn into a spoken word piece, and then they just become literature. Then there's other pieces that you write for the reason of expressing in front of a crowd, and that's the difference between poetry and spoken word.
Is that to help you or serve someone else in that crowd to help them?
It's both.
It's both.
It serves both.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Some pieces are sacred. Some pieces I would write for people. Some people or some pieces I would write and I would frame. I would keep them. So some pieces just kind of spoke to people, and then I would divvy it out in that type of format.
Yeah.
But as far as spoken word, those are pieces that I'm free to share with the world. They're performance pieces, because that's the difference between poetry and spoken word. Spoken word is the performance element of poetry. All poets are not spoken word artists.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite poets, Dr. Maya Angelou, rest her soul.
Yeah.
She's a great poet, not a spoken word artist.
That's true.
Even though she recites her poetry, there's a difference.
That's true.
There's a theatrical.
And I'm about to say, is it a theater to an entertainment piece?
Right.
Because she's writing for
There's an expression.
a mental connection, a understanding.
Absolutely.
There's no theatrics to it to get to that. I guess her words are she feels are so powerful.
Right.
That she's reaching you on another level. Okay, that's
Now hold
interesting.
on. Is when you guys are writing, do you guys need your time alone, away from people? That's your outlet to.
The
Go ahead.
majority of the time, there's times where you can create amongst others, but
Right.
the majority of my pieces have been in my living room on my couch, man, writing on my laptop. Like,
Yeah.
that's where they came
By
from.
yourself.
That comfort zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For me,
Oh, go ahead. No.
yeah, just doing it for so long, I create in a multiple, I create in multiple ways, just based on the inspiration. I can be in a crowd and get inspiration, and I gotta pick my phone up and jot down notes, or I use, my vocal recorder on the phone, that kind of thing. Or it's in the middle of the night, or it's shoot, I gotta take this moment because I'm inspired.
So if say for example, if that's taken away from you, how would you control your emotions?
That's a good question.
Man, if it was, I don't think that I could. Like that, the poetry has been a conduit for me to be able to control my emotions. Like it's been that therapy. Like it's been before I knew what therapy was. That's what created that sense of calm for me.
And that's where I was going with those questions, is that as men, we have an outlet,
Right,
or we just, like you said, you'll bust.
right.
For me, it's working out.
Yeah.
I have to do it, and it's not more because I want to get a body and stuff like that. It's just that's my zone to get away from all the issues.
Right.
I can't focus on anything else besides trying to just get through that workout, and then
Yeah.
hopefully by the time I'm done,
Right.
I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
good. And I think that most men have that, and I think that
You
sometimes
have to.
when you're dealing with a woman, they don't understand that you need that.
Right.
And they'll, why you always gotta, what? He's like, could you just allow me to have this?
My thing.
So that brings up the other
Spend
point,
some time.
and the other point is simply when we talk about men, and we talk about this outwardly emotions. Women, men run to the cave.
Right.
Yeah.
Women go on a rampage. I ain't a poet, and you don't know that. But that's real talk. I mean, men will have to go into their quiet place.
Yeah.
Women have to put that out. And I'm only, like I said, when I say women, I'm not talking about every woman. I'm talking about women I've dealt with, which is 99% of y'all out there. No, I'm joking. But I'm just saying, that's the emotion that you get, that women have that type of feeling where they have to actually be extra with it. And it's not them being extra, it's just how they process emotions. Like Fonz is saying, everything comes in and goes out. Men, everything comes at us and comes in. A question to the panel. And I want y'all to answer this any way you can, but I think I'm going to focus it more on dealing with women and dealing with relationships you've been in. And I want you to think deep about this. Do men have the ability, or do men have the opportunity when dealing with women to be Clark Kent? We'll start with you, LM. And this is serious. The reason I ask this question because at any point in time in any relationship that you are with a woman, like Duke was saying, you have to be that protector. You have to be this type of person. You always have to be Superman. At what point in time can you be Clark Kent?
That's a good question. When can you be Clark Kent?
At what point in time with a woman can you be Clark Kent?
I mean, I think it depends on the situation. Because if you're in different situations, then you feel like, yeah, this is the part where I step in. Like let's say if you're out with your spouse and like you're at a concert or something, and guys next to you getting a little too rowdy or whatever, like, hey, brother.
Right.
Hey, man,
That's being Superman, but that's being Superman.
Right.
When can you be Clark Kent?
Clark Kent.
Yeah, that's being Superman.
Yeah, Clark Kent wasn't respected though.
But
He had glasses, they didn't respect him though.
But Clark Kent
Took
also
glasses off.
had Lois in the beginning. So when can
That's
you
a
be
great
Clark
question.
Kent?
That is.
But Lois liked him
got
more
something
after
for
she
that.
found out
Yeah.
he was Superman
Yeah.
though.
Well, she was gonna fall for Superman regardless. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants Superman.
Right.
But at what point in time, as men, can we be Clark Kent?
I got you.
I always feel this way, when you especially as I matured and got older, it's all about the verbal intercourse. You know what I'm saying? Women like intellectual conversations where they can be like, wow, they're amazed that, man, I learned something. Or they're in the point where they saying to themselves like, dude, I'm scared to even talk because this guy's sharp. That is the Clark Kent because you're showing that you got an intellectual gift to have the gift of gab. And I think that when you are going on dates and you're sitting at the bar, you can goof around and joke. But then when you get on some serious topics and you're able to articulate yourself in a way, and if the woman digs you, that's your Clark Kent right there because you're showing that you got some intellect and you can actually articulate it
I like that.
in a way that they are impressed. So I think that it is a tough question because typically it's hard for us to think about those things. Like, well, man.
Well, I'll tell you, as a married man, my time to be Clark Kent is in our sacred space at home.
Okay.
That's where I get a chance to be goofy. I can take my cape off and all of that stuff because we've created an environment to where I know she's safe. I know she's secure. So now,
Be yourself.
when we at home, it's all about what kind of jokes do she like. She like goofy jokes, so it's time to be goofy. It's time to have those real conversations.
Yes.
Then when I go out, I can put the cape back on. I need to make sure that my lady is safe. That nobody's pushing up on my space, her space, our space. So that's where you do it in whatever space that you all create that's sacred to you. But see, the beauty of that is if your woman, if y'all move on and she accepts that, she knows
She
you.
know everything
The
about you.
great part about that is y'all can build off of that.
No, I'm just talking about women that you ain't trying to move
Yeah,
forward.
in general. See, I thought that
Yeah.
that who's now my wife was just gonna be another knot. But she said, "No, we take it here. This is the expectation when we go to this level." And I'm like, "Shit, I ain't never been talked to like that." Shit, I always been able.
But
Shit,
the
I'm
thing
a
is-
poet. We can have this conversation. We get into some intellectual.
Were you single at the time?
And the panties drop.
Were you single at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
was single
so
at the
you was
time.
in a relationship at the time, but this is just a friend girl, a girlfriend,
Right,
And you
right.
dropping her game,
Right.
and you get into a moment of, where your guard, you made a you did something that probably you shouldn't have done on your woman.
Right. Well, it's not gonna happen at that point for me because I've grown to a
But
space. to where
I'm not saying
certain-
now. I'm not
He
talking about
talking
now.
about-
If
yeah,
someone's
certain
talking
things.
about it, just,
Right, just in
At a
general,
younger
and
age.
that's why I talk to young guys about it. Experience it. Like, go out there and have your experience because
Exactly.
you're gonna need to have certain experiences to understand what value actually is.
Absolutely.
So now you can bump all of these experiences against this experience that you're having with this certain woman, and you're like, oh shit, she's different. Just like I just said with my wife, I'm thinking she's gonna be another notch under my belt. But she's like, hold on, partner.
Okay.
No, if we take it here, this is what this means. And I'm like, getting back to what I said with that standard, she created a standard for me to meet, and I'm like, shit, I ain't never had this happen before. Let me see what she talking about and what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then the feelings change. It gets to, okay, this is a woman that values herself. She respects herself. So in turn, I gotta respect her.
You just got to a place where you had never been before.
Right. I'm
Made
like,
you feel
hold
a certain
on.
type of way. Like,
What is
I ain't never
this?
felt like this before.
What is this going on right here?
Yeah, but how long? But what the thing is that yes, but when y'all cross that path in regards of crossed over, you ain't just she just crossed. You just crossed over and say, "Hey, you gonna be my man?" No, right? You still was dealing her, and then all of a sudden it got to that point where you had that conversation.
Right.
But I'm
right.
talking about in before that point of that conversation where,
Right.
like you said, it was just a notch on your belt.
Right. I got where you going.
Yeah,
but before I was able to
She
have
made it
her
clear,
be that
right?
knot, she made it
She
clear.
made it clear.
Oh, so
from
she
the beginning. So before
we
Yeah,
stepped
he knew what he was
Oh, so
getting
that's
into.
different.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen.
Yeah, sometimes it
Like,
just
hey,
happens.
just go down.
And then all of a
I'm
sudden you
telling
have that talk, but it's like,
Yeah, see, after you can't come back and create a standard after. the fact.
Yeah.
Like,
that's bad for us.
It
It's
doesn't
over
work
with
that way. It's like
It's over with then.
No, partner, we here.
yeah.
She said we here. This is where the bar's at.
Yeah.
So to take it to that next level, you got to do some climbing, partner.
Yeah.
So you ain't quite there yet. We ain't quite there yet. And once we cross that bridge, this means something else.
How old were you when that happened?
Shoot, that was 4 years ago. So I was right at 30, 35, about to be 36.
Okay.
And that's typically the age where most guys
Yeah, and we start
to
we start
hit
looking
that
around,
plateau and then we start
start-
going down this way.
Well, shit, maybe I ain't invincible.
You know what I'm saying?
Like maybe life
But you
is.
start to
Maybe life
know,
is
Start
a real
thinking
thing.
different though.
You know
start
your
thinking
weaknesses.
different at that
Yeah.
age.
That's when knees start hurting. Like,
you know,
I need to find someone who's gonna notice the symptoms of a stroke later on. Let me find me the right woman. You know what I'm saying?
I can't be running the streets no more.
at
boy.
that age, you're sitting there like, oh, nah, I can still dust a 13-year-old in a race. And then you go up and
Yeah.
go, oh, shit. Damn, I can't run as fast as I used to.
Yeah.
You ready?
Oh yeah, we back. We've been live.
Oh, we live.
Yeah.
We came back, man. We came back. I was
Did the
letting
after
y'all.
party during the
Oh,
show?
bro.
No, we're not even at the after show. Y'all just have to come back live. So, hey, we back, y'all. Y'all been tuning in. Carrie, I heard you. She said, amen. Y'all was making y'all points. I just didn't interrupt y'all.
Oh, okay.
But
Word up.
the next thing I kind of want to get into is it kind of goes to the sense of like trustworthy, how we deal with trust. Now, earlier, there are a couple different words I like to talk about because they're hard to define. I can define trust based on someone's actions and based on what we see in a definition of trust. It's very hard to define love. Now, most people say, oh, that's easy. Love is. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Let me explain something to y'all about love. Love is based on experiences. Meaning that if I grew up in a household, mom, dad, that's love that I see. If I grew up in a household, mom only, that's love that I see and that's love I experienced. Grew up in a household where it's just dad, that's love, that's the experience. I grew up in a household where it's just mom and aunties, that's love, that was my experience. So the reason I'm bringing up those 2 points, I got 2 things I want to talk about that we might get in depth with, which is trust and love. The reason I'm bringing up trust and love is because men deal with trust differently than women deal with trust. So for a man, our trust, or here's a better way to explain it. T.D. Jakes had mentioned this one time on one of his things that he was talking about. When a woman comes to him and says, I don't trust my man, what she's saying 90% of the time is that he's cheating. She's saying that he's stepping out on her because she guards her body as being his temple and he don't want it no more. And that's where the trust comes in. With me? All right. When a man comes in and says, I don't trust my woman, he's talking about his temple, which is his heart, his vulnerability. That's where he's going with that. He doesn't trust his woman has his back, has his heart, has his best interest at heart. So one of the things that we have to conquer as just people in general is understanding what trust is, to understand where we can begin to even figure out love. So when I talk about vulnerability, oh, Carrie said something about what'd she say, Autumn?
She said the married brother Truthful and beautiful commentary / remarks.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you, sister.
There you go. Check out the book. The book is on Amazon.com. It's called
The 30 Love Laws.
The 30 Love Laws. Check out Amazon.com,
I'm
folks.
getting that damn book. But
Yeah, there you go. So when we talk about that vulnerability, I'm gonna go a little bit depth here about a vulnerability that I had to deal with. Obviously, we were talking earlier about divorce and things like that. And when you deal with that type of vulnerability, and depending on what age you are with it, it changes how you approach love. I'm not gonna say it changes how you love.
Right.
It changes how you approach love. You approach love differently. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you, I'd rather trust someone before I love them. And the reason I said it because love takes time in that experience. Hence, why we have Sincere on. Tell them a little bit about how you came up with the idea of the book again, because I want to say it took you some time, correct?
Absolutely. 15 years to define that word love. It
Lord have
took 15 years after a divorce. So we talk about love and trust, and trust is an element of love.
Okay.
And I'll put it like this. When I sit down with couples, I do relationship coaching, myself and my wife. And when we sit down with a couple and we ask both to define love in one word.
Okay.
And most people struggle. Why? Because most of us don't take the time to define love.
True.
You can take a look at it in a dictionary. It focuses on the emotion, which is a temporary feeling.
On the emotion, as we're talking right now, we interpret
Right.
emotions totally differently.
Right. So that's a fleeting emotion.
Yep.
So if you define your love that way, it's going to be a temporary thing, which is why we end up in divorce and all of this stuff that we see with relationships today.
Correct.
But most people, they can't do it in one word. I can do it in 3 words that stand alone. The first word, unity. That's why when you get married, you light a unity candle.
Okay, yeah.
Right. The second word, connection. You need 2 ends to connect anything, positive and negative.
Male or female.
Male, female, absolutely.
Hammer and nail.
My man. Third word, oneness.
Okay,
Ooh,
that's a
a
struggle.
good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
So those 3 words define any type of love that you're looking to achieve. I don't care if we're talking about mama. I don't care if we're talking about our wives, husbands, aunts, so forth and so on.
Yeah.
It took me 15 years to define that, not knowing what it is. And here's the thing. When you can sit down with your wife or with your husband out there, and y'all have similar definitions, guess what? Your communication becomes better. Like, it's impossible to communicate effectively, clearly, and get a desired result if you don't have the same definition or similar.
So we're talking about the actual success and resolution you found. Give me a couple of trials and errors you went through, because I'm guessing that, like most of us men, your girl came to you and said, "Hey, we ought to check out the love languages." I mean, or the personality checks. No, we. What errors did you make in believing what the actual that's out there is going to define it for you? The little magazines. What errors did you make?
Oh man, I made them for a long time until I had people to allow me to come into that space and see what the DNA of it was.
Okay.
So I actually sat down with therapists. I sat down with spiritual leaders. I sat down with people that were in happy, long relationship for 20 to 60 years. That's what comprised the information that's in this book.
Okay.
So
Experience.
So taking a look in the mirror and saying, you know what, Sincere, you don't have the slightest idea of what love is. So go find it. And we're not going to get married again until we understand what this thing is that we're chasing.
So even after the divorce, you knew you wanted to get married again.
Like, I knew that I didn't want to hurt like that no more.
Point.
So as men, we fix it.
Exactly.
Right. We solution oriented. So I'm like, I don't want to feel like this no more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I'd rather go through a million fights and do it daily than to feel what I'm feeling with my heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's our heart we protect.
Absolutely.
Same way we won't protect our body, we protect our hearts.
Absolutely. See, women have an advantage of us. They have an advantage on us because they understand what's going on with their heart.
Yeah.
they don't put it under that blanket, or they don't sweep it under the carpet. They express.
Outwardly.
We call it emotional.
Yes, we do.
Or she nagging, she emotional. No, what she's doing is expressing what's there. And that same thing actually weakens us as men, because we sweep it under the carpet. And
Yeah,
guess
we don't know
what?
how to deal with it that way.
It starts to eat us up like acid from the inside because we don't express it, and it kills us from the inside. So, with going into those living rooms and talking to those professionals, I started to be able to draw a line and streamline. Okay, this is what everybody's saying. They're saying it in different ways, but this is what everybody's saying. So I was able to streamline that information and put it all into a book. Now me and my wife, we didn't write the book together. She came along and confirmed that the information in the book was true.
Okay.
So she actually closed the book. I was having a problem with finishing the book
That's facts. That's nice.
until she came along.
So, the 30 love laws. Why 30? Why not like 3, not like 100?
That's how it manifested itself.
Okay.
So the book closed itself.
Okay.
So I just became a vessel for the information. I trusted what was there. And when I was done with all of the work, collecting all of the information, then that's how many laws that I was able to streamline from sitting down with those professional spiritual leaders and folks in those relationships.
So let me ask you this, and this kind of goes to the panel too when we're talking about love and understanding love, because obviously we've all understood love our own ways and understood it based on our own experiences. But how has, and I'll start with you and I'll go around the panel, how has your understanding, based on your experience, book included, helped you to deal with others outside of your marriage?
Oh man.
Especially when I talk about us, I'm talking about personal relationships, business relationships, or even being a parent raising kids. Like, I'm not sure if you have kids or anything like that, but that type of stuff. Talk about that, and I want the rest of the panel kind of answer that same question.
Oh man, it's helped me tremendously. Because as somebody that's in business, I work for myself. Everything that happens in your life involves relationship. Everything. I don't care if we're talking business. I don't care if we're talking about you and that mailman that you see every day.
Yeah.
If you're at home when they come through, your children, your aunt, your mother, everything is a relationship.
True.
So based on how you understand relationships and how effective you are in establishing great relationship, that's going to be a linchpin in making your life better or worse.
Those are facts. Yep, that's true. Duke, how about you? Have you fully understood for your definition of love? I know it's men talking about emotions now. We use the word love. I don't know how many times. Men don't normally do this. So you ladies better listen up. We don't do this.
Soak it up.
For your definition of love, have you seen, based on what you've been able to interpret love is, has that understanding helped you in other relationships? Outside of just with another woman or with just relationships that you have in general?
No, it's actually still a struggle for me in regards to trying to figure out what love is. Because what I seen my parents do is not what some women that I dealt with understand.
Okay.
My parents didn't express it. They just gave each other gifts. That was it. So when I'm in a relationship, if I do something, or they go out to a special event, take us out to Coney Island, or do family things, but they would never say I love you or I care for you or anything like that.
Wow.
So when I'm in a relationship, I try to, since it's been ingrained in me, I try to emulate those. But the women are like, we're in a relationship, we're supposed to go out to eat. Now all of a sudden I'm crushed.
Yeah.
Because that's my love.
Yeah.
Now you still.
You know what I mean? And so the thing is, it's a struggle for me trying to figure that out. So what I have tried to do is just communicate more and say, hey, this is how I was raised. So you can have an understanding why I do certain things.
I got you, brother. Your struggle is over.
So
love laws.
Get you there, bro.
So the love for me, it's a struggle for me to figure that out.
Okay.
But as I've gotten older, before you keep it all, man, when I get involved with someone, especially if I look at them as someone, you know, I typically what I do is try to explain to them, okay, you know, I need help in these particular areas, so they understand why I do certain things. I mean, I try to share a little bit about my background. 'Cause before, it's like that was sacred. I would not share how I was raised, because I'm like, you know, I'm not letting them know, you know, how I was raised. But I think that gives them an understanding. So now, through interaction, they can be like, okay, I can see why he does what he do, and they can help me grow. So,
Fontes, how about you, man? How is your definition, your truth about love help you deal with relationships in general?
I could say it's been a struggle, more so because I feel myself as a contradiction to what I believe about love.
Okay.
So yeah, you know,
Break that one down.
Well,
Struggle is over, brother.
you see that? You see that? That's two right now. That's saying, hey, it's a
30 Love
struggle.
Laws.
It's a struggle.
Amazon.com, the 30 Love Laws.
It's a
Get that
struggle.
work.
yeah,
It's a struggle.
where my message of let love remain comes into play is that allowance of the thing that remains true to itself, which is love, that entity that remains true, and us being the carriers of that, we have to constantly choose it. You know what I'm saying? And the choosing of that, which is love, which is pure, which is all great things that you can imagine. The choosing of that is where I find myself as the contradiction of what I believe love is. And being a carrier of love, I sometimes contradict that love that I carry. And so, you know, where in relationships, well, to be honest, I mean, I've expressed that I'm still legally married, but outside of that, that relationship was a relationship that I feel I exuded the love that I've always believed that I carry. The demise of that was that she did not share that. And I believe, and this is one thing I learned just in outside of that. So I've learned that honesty is very key. I was dealing with a woman who, you know, we were doing our thing, you know, and she had caught me one night, like I was slipping. I ain't gonna lie, I was slipping.
Hey, I saw her say, "What does doing your thing mean?" But I was like, look, as a man, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna shut up. Glad you asked that question, though. I was like, what does that mean?
So you know, we hang, we doing our thing, and it was one night I had visited another female, and I did not realize I had all this glitter on my face.
Ooh.
So you know what I'm saying? Like
The strip sprinkles. He was at the strip club.
man, I just
Look, Mercedes always be having glitter on her.
Man.
Now the crazy thing, like me and this lady were not exclusive to one another, and pretty much what she expressed to me was that ultimately, if you would have just been upfront and honest, you know what I'm saying, and that's like one of the biggest things. Like, and what I learned also from that situation, because that same lady, like, she had such a desire for me that was beyond my desire for her, you know, and where, like, I think a lot of us mess up is, I think where a lot of us mess up, because I ended that situation, but where a lot of us mess up is that we try to continue situations like that on, because it's like somebody will have a high desire, somebody will not share that same desire, and those instances where that lack of connection it's like when we try to continue on, we end up damaging somebody, because it's like you could find all these reasons. Like, there was nothing wrong with the girl. She was beautiful. She had a nice body. I mean, she was cool. She cooked. She do all these things, and we sometimes look at those indicators or identifiers as reasons to connect. You know what I'm saying? With something that we don't have a connection with. You know what I'm saying? We all share a certain level of love for each other, but those special connections that drive us to our deepest connection in love are special, you know what I'm saying, special connections that in a lot of our lifetimes happens once. You know what I'm saying? And
This man said once. I hope not.
not one single time, but with one person. And so like in the situation between me and my wife, where I really gained understanding, it was, you know, I dare not say anything bad about her, I just think it was one of those situations to where my love for her was way higher than her love for me, and ultimately she was never able to connect with me. And she tried to, because there were factors that led her to be like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not feeling this dude? He's, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to speak, you know, about myself. Y'all could do that for yourself. But he is what he is, you know what I'm saying? And all of these signs are saying, hey, you know, he's a good guy. He wants to be with you. He wants to marry you. He wants to, all these things. So you become accepting of that because of all those factors, but you lack that connection. And then we lack that connection, and it hurts me because I'm trying, and for you it's like a spark, but it's never able to, you know what I'm saying, it's never able to get there. And so it caused me hurt, and I was, through that understanding, I was able to lose the anger of, you know what I'm saying, like it just is what it is. It's one of those things, you know what I'm saying, that you can't really be mad at. You can, because we all are not able to comprehend that. It took me time to comprehend that because I've done that to others. You know what I'm saying? I've tried to be with this girl, you know, because of this, and that. And, you know, when you lack that connection, and you know it when you see them, you know it when when you're around them, you know it through your conversations, you know it, but you continue something on because of all these little factors, and then she got to pay that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're right.
She do be giving up, man. But she be like, you know what I'm saying? But if we could just learn to be more honest, and I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Oh, you answered it.
Yeah, but if we could just learn to be more honest as men, as women, you know what I'm saying, in our connections, whatever that connection is, whether it's a small connection, just a sexual connection, a spiritual connection, whatever the case may be, just like you was talking about relationships. We all share we all share relationships with each other, but those relationships don't have to be that relationship of, you know what I'm saying?
Right, there's levels.
Unity. It's levels to it all, you know what I'm saying?
There's
So, yeah.
definitely levels, and we talked about relationships before too, and how relationships are what they are. They're ships, they're vessels. They get you from one port to another port.
Absolutely.
And the thing about that is, you might be on a Carnival cruise one day, you might be on a tugboat next day. It's still a ship that's going to get you to your destination. And sometimes relationships are, or actually not sometimes, there are two real reasons that people get in relationships, or two real reasons I think relationships are actually even in this world: to protect and to learn. So you're going to learn from that person you're with, and you'll be protected from that person that you're with. The reason I say that is because when you're in a relationship, you're learning a lot about yourself and about the other person, and then you're learning about how you can interact with the other person.
Right.
You're protected in the sense that if you weren't with them, what would you be doing? Who would you be
Who
with?
would you be with? Yeah.
Yeah.
All wrong people.
So LM, same question to you, man, as far as it relates to love. How has that affected your other relationships, period? Either your relationship with women or just relationships in general?
Oh, yeah,
How is that?
women.
Okay. When I met with women, I meant man around here. I'm a boy.
You said we all in Atlanta. Once again.
I gotta make that clear right
I'm a
now.
boy. David, I'm a boy.
I think, to me, all relationships are learning experience to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you learn a lot more about yourself, because the one thing I always say when you go through a relationship and you break up, I always tell people I think the best thing is for you to be by yourself, because I always feel like you have to learn what just happened.
Oh,
and was there a way that you could have, because no one takes
You know
responsibility.
you get to my next topic. But go ahead. I appreciate that. Good segue. You know what I'm saying?
But I always think I don't blame the other person, because sometimes it's just a matter of time after you get done with your anger and stuff. It's a matter of time, like, okay, what could I have done? Even if that person that you were with, they did you wrong and they cheated, and they might be scum of the earth right now. But once you get to thinking clearly, you have to really think about it. Like, okay, well, was it something I could have done better? Even if it wasn't anything that would have kept that person from cheating, was there something in the relationship that I could have done better to make yourself? That's just to make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
Like, could I have complimented her more? Yeah, I probably could have. Could I hold her hand more? Yeah, I probably could have. Should I cook more? I mean, that's just, to me, I think it's a personal journey. Not a relationship is not just about that relationship. It's about you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
whatever you learn going into your next relationship, now you know some things about yourself. You know some things about, you dealt with that other person. You don't bring all of that into it, but you have to remember certain things that were wrong in that relationship to see if maybe you can remedy it. But I feel like they're all learning experience, every single one of them.
Every single
Every
one.
single one.
That's interesting because you're right. You do bring things into your next relationship. Hopefully, they're good things, good baggage. Because having baggage ain't bad.
Right.
You can have good baggage.
Right.
I went from one relationship that I was in with a girl that I learned through the way she dogged me out how I ain't gonna get dogged out the next message. Now, since I have all these men here and we're talking about emotions, how men deal with emotions, the most, I guess, typical thing that you're going to see on TV and the media and all over the place, and I always like to get men together and talk about this, is how men deal with breakups. Because we've all been in relationships. Yeah. We've all felt that we've been in love with the one, and then we've been broken up with. And it's always interesting because I'm going to go ahead and set the stage for this one. Most women, when they go through a breakup, from what I understand, they get the big old thing of Haagen-Dazs. The big old box of tissues. They call their girlfriend up, and it takes them maybe 2-3 weeks to get over a dude.
That's it?
That might be. I don't know. I mean, women chime in. I'm here. Go ahead and send some notes.
Did she love him?
Well, she probably did love him, but she takes a while to get over a dude. 2-3 weeks. Now, with that same factor, with the man, you break up with me on Tuesday at 2:00. By 3:15, I'm in the club. Like, get this shit. I'm okay.
That take care of you for that moment.
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you why, because emotionally I realized something. This is what I realized from men emotionally, for myself, I should say. The only way I can get to the point where I feel like I am something is I gotta find the next thing.
Right.
And I gotta get to the next thing and next thing, because see, I can't stop. I can't. That goes back to how we deal with emotions. I can't just start crying about something. I'm a man.
Right.
Hit you in the chest, boy, get out there, do what you gotta do.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't slack. So how have y'all dealt with breakup?
Carrie, well, I said shit.
That's all of y'all chiming in.
How'd you spell that? That's what I want to
It's for
know.
like 7 eyes.
Exclamation.
Carrie said, I disagree to McCoy.
Carrie, what's your point? How most women deal with it? I mean, I want to know about it. Talk to us. Let us know. I'm gonna let
I don't think it takes 2 weeks. I think it take them a while.
Take them a while.
Yeah.
The one thing that I also think about it is that the one thing is dealing with your emotions. So once you're vulnerable, that's the problem right there. Is most people are so scared and don't want to deal with it. Like, you do anything to get distracted from it. Like, I'll go out with another chick. I'll go out with another chick. But instead of sitting, to deal with your emotions, what's really affecting you, that's why it always comes up in like a blow up in the form of a guy, because something else might trigger it, but you never dealt with it. So you got all this buildup that stays inside.
Okay.
And it's weird how I don't know how to say that, but it's weird how it comes out with us, because you don't have that moment where you gotta, hey, I'm gonna go to my dude out.
Right.
She broke up. We don't have that, but I know women, they deal with that. But I've never known one that takes 2 weeks. I think, but anybody should just go ahead. If you got emotion, you have to get it out. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I ain't saying get it out in front of everybody, but if you feel like you gotta cry, you by yourself. Go ahead and cry. If you feel like you gotta go to Stone Mountain and yell, go ahead, go up there and yell. Sit up there for hours. If you want to sit on the edge of a cliff or something and just sit there, just do that. But you have to deal with it.
Don't jump, brother.
Don't jump. Don't jump. Don't Thelma and Louise.
She ain't worth all that.
No Thelma and Louise. But I'm just saying that's one of the tricks. One of the problems right there is people never really deal. A lot of people don't finish. They don't deal with their emotions. They just deflect it, detract from it, and move on to the next thing instead of actually dealing with it. And they bring that emotional carryover into the next relationship in a lot of situations.
I always say, it does take time. When you really do care for someone, it does take time to get over it. You can go out there and, like as a man, go out there and date and sleep with 10 women. Yeah, you're telling your friends, you're pretending to your friends, saying like, yeah, man, I'm smashing all these chicks. Yeah. But when you home,
we front.
You talking to yourself like,
y'all hearing this?
You just talking to yourself. You're angry. You depressed. You sitting here wondering what your ex is doing. Shit. Well, now in Atlanta, I moving to Atlanta, all these damn gated communities. You can't even do a drive-by when you want to. You know what I'm saying? You sitting here like, damn. You're hoping to run into him. You don't want to run into him, but you like, okay, I know that this person might be over here, so I might just drive by. Every time you see the same car that they drove, you sitting there
Oh, shit.
You know what
So
I mean?
you
Look,
turn stalk on
But
them
see,
there.
that's emotion.
No. But the thing
That's
is,
emotion.
we try to pretend by going out there and smashing. So when
Right.
I'm with the
Yeah.
fellas, I'm sitting there like, yo, man, I ain't worrying about that chick. I got
Yeah.
all this.
Temporary
Yo,
distraction.
and then you taking pictures. You say, yo, check this out. Check this
Temporary
out.
distraction.
But when you home alone
You can't hide
or
from
you
yourself.
driving to work, you going to sleep. You can't even sleep because it's on your mind.
Can't
And even
hide.
when you do dealing with these
You
women,
right. Word up.
as soon as you get done and you get up and go to the restroom, you like shaking your head like, man, I don't even know why.
Can't hide from yourself.
So ladies, us men, we put out this front like
Yeah.
it doesn't bother us. But man, I tell you,
Oh, it does.
we be in the bed like this, like man, you know what I'm saying?
Sucking the thumb.
Hey. Deal with the blank stare.
Yeah.
And y'all hearing this, ladies? Like,
For real,
a lot of
real
times people
talk.
confuse exactly how men deal with stuff, but you're hearing it firsthand from men. Before I get to everyone else, Autumn, what did Carrie say?
And Carrie said to clear up what she was disagreeing with you about. She said she was disagreeing about how women recoup. She said, one, no woman or man is the same. Everyone processes things differently.
Okay,
Yes.
I respect that.
As far as dating and on to the next, you can take the same issues into the next situation, into the next space.
Yeah.
Facts.
Heal and address before projecting it to the next.
It took me almost 3 years
I feel you.
to get over. You know, to officially
Truly
get
get
over
over.
where I'm not
To
even
truly
thinking
get
about
over.
it. I don't care what
Yeah.
the person is doing.
Yeah.
I don't.
But you know, I moved on,
Yeah.
but it's still in my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
You
know,
gotta get it out.
It's
You're
still in
right.
my
You're right.
mind.
You gotta get it out your
Yeah.
system.
It's tough, man, because you sit there and you like, wow, man, I can't believe, you want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Then, like you said, as ego, we want to make sure our name is, they ain't
What she
sold off
saying
my
about
name.
you?
You know what I'm
Yeah, what she
saying?
saying about
You met a
Yeah,
friends and
and
stuff like that.
beware.
Yeah.
Beware how you get it out of your system, because I made the mistake of just going out here and acting out.
Yeah.
And what I actually did was created bad karma for myself.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that one.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Go through the healing process because it benefits you. But man, we don't want to feel that.
Nope.
Well, also
So-
too,
so we
how many
gotta try to trans-
how many women like I want to know how many women been on a date with a dude. The next thing you know, it ended up talking about their ex-girlfriend.
That's happened
You know what I'm
quite.
saying?
Vice versa. I've been out with women. They start talking about their ex.
Yeah, that's how you can tell if a person's really over it.
Yeah. You ain't nothing like my ex.
Because you start talking like, she was doing this, and she's a good woman though, but we just didn't click. Why are we talking about this?
Right.
Because you're not over that person,
Right.
yet, you know what I mean?
And also you try to process those emotions, because probably in those times you're no longer in that state of aroused anger.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're able to sit back and be like, well, Dad, what was wrong? What did go wrong? How did this happen? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just you try to find reason for all of that stuff.
That's what looking for.
Yeah, we talk about the fact that we don't know how to process that. Now with people understanding what I do, my homeboys will call me, or men will call me and like, man, sincere, some crazy stuff. so I know.
They're like, let me get that book.
right, man. What's going on? So now I get the call to help men make sense of this stuff.
Okay.
Because it's like, man, this hurt, bro. It won't go away, man. Like what? Like I don't want to make the wrong next move. So I need a sounding board, or I need somebody that deals with this subject matter to be able to hang this situation on. And we need that.
At that point, you, if as a guy, you're open.
Right.
So it's not. Yeah, you're open, regardless of what you do. If you really care for that person, you pretty much all of the stuff, the vulnerable stuff that you've been protecting with a brick wall, you're open now.
Right.
So how about the get back? So we talk about the breakup, but how about getting back with that person that you felt? Because Fontez brought up a point when he said one, and I know most of y'all have seen A Bronx Tale. You know what Tony says.
Yeah.
Right.
You get 3 good ones.
3 good ones.
Right.
3 good ones. You know what I'm saying?
Open the door.
So the reason I'm asking that question, because for the men here, I know sometimes women think that we never loved in the first place, or we was able to walk away from it, but that's not true.
It's not true.
Right.
It's not
My
true.
thing is,
Not true at all.
in life you have this thing called soul partners or soul mates. And I guess there's always been confusion. Is there more than one soulmate? And if it's not, if it is more than one soulmate, are they soul partners? How have you men dealt with trying to get back with or have you even dealt with love you've lost and thought, okay, I'm matured now. I'm at a spot where I can go back and get that.
I don't go back.
I don't go back. I be in folks' DMs. Hey, I'm telling you, I go
DM slide around.
Hey, chicks I done mess up. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm
Like,
telling
hey,
you.
what's up, big head?
When
Trying to take that temperature.
Hey, I'm telling you, when the situation, like, because my situation been a little different. Like,
You got
me
an
and my
interesting situation.
yeah, man, nah, I go back. I confess.
I'll go
I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's one lady I started talking back to. She felt that I had done her some wrong, and I literally like took her out to dinner, and I explained that whole situation piece by piece exactly for what it was.
Honesty.
And I was able to get, you know what I'm saying, a lot of respect from that. But yeah, I definitely I go
But
back.
did you get the draw?
Thank you.
No,
Thank
I
you.
didn't get it.
Like,
So
it was
it's
like
worth
one
it.
thing.
Well, it was worth it. It was worth it because, like, for me, like
Cleansing yourself.
cleansing myself, but I also never wanted to be the dude to be out here breaking hearts, man. That ain't never who I wanted. That was never who I wanted to
I feel you on
be. And
that.
so in situations that I'm able to apply any type of comprehension or understanding, not to say that I'm trying to right any wrongs, because it's, how can you? You know what I'm saying? The wrong has already been done, but to give further assistance to any form of healing or any form of necessary or a need for understanding of a situation, so you won't interpret it wrong, you know what I'm saying, then I provide that. You know what I'm
I got
saying?
you.
And
So
I,
clear it up. And clear it
yeah,
up.
like
Make sure
I
they
have to,
understand.
man, because
Got
if it was this and not that, I don't want you thinking that. I want
Right.
you to hear from my
I want you
heart.
to know what
And
I'm
even if
thinking.
I messed up, like shit, here I am, like I messed up, like my bad on that. I apologize.
To get it off your conscience.
Tell
Yeah.
exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Tell them exactly what you were thinking, so they can really understand.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was like this.
Yeah.
So, what comments we have from Carrie? I saw Carrie. I saw a few different comments.
She said, let me see. Oh, she said, I can only speak for myself when it comes to the space I'm in. I am in a place where I'm happy no matter the environment. Fulfillment is real, and it takes self-love to get there. When we put the ego on the back seat, we reach our highest place of enlightenment. You get what you talk about. Talk about your peace and love, and it will continue to manifest.
Absolutely. I
That's
love
key.
it.
Big facts.
So
Also-
Fontez, she said, that's closure right there.
Oh,
I said, as a girl, I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
closure.
And that's an interesting point, because as guys, do we actually do that?
What?
I mean, outside
Closure?
of closure. If you messed up, do you go back and
I'll be
tell the
honest,
person?
I don't.
Or do you just think, in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I've probably already done enough. She probably really don't want to talk to me right now, so I think I might just leave it alone.
I'll be honest. Probably when I was younger, hell no. But as I get older, I don't go back. But I have learned something. I forgive myself, because if I can forgive myself and not do it again, that's the key. My closure is if I can forgive myself and not do that again. I can't always. So my perception of me going to somebody and telling them, hey, I'm sorry, they might perceive that as actual closure for them.
Right.
Because really, if I say I'm sorry, I'm going to say that for myself to get that off my chest.
Right.
So why bring it to somebody else? If I messed up and I know I messed up and I hopefully said sorry then, I'm not going to go back and try to like really get their acceptance of it. I need to go to myself in my own place, inwardly, as a man does,
Right.
and forgive myself so I can move on and get past it and not do it again. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Talking about the whole ego thing, as we've been talking about here as men and how we deal with certain things, it's just interesting, like how we've had this conversation now about emotions, how men deal with emotions, how women deal with different things. Is that we're learning that the male ego is very fragile, very sensitive. So in saying that, women, you may think that because we're men, we're the providers, we're the ones that can protect you, we're the ones that can do all these wonderful things to take care of you. On another level, we're also the ones that can be broken by you, with it pertaining to our ego.
Absolutely.
And I know we've shared stories about, we've all shared stories about how we thought we were something that we found out we weren't, not because we thought we weren't, because another woman that was in our lives was able to show us what we are not, So keep that in mind, ladies, that a lot of the men that you deal with is not the way we show emotions is the wrong way, or the way we show emotions is not the exact way, that it's just interpreted differently, and we're all going to have different ways we actually show our emotions. Now, I do have this other question for the panel too. when you're in a position that caters to actually being in love, finding that one, making that decision, making that whole commitment, what aspects of a woman, what do you look for in a woman? And if you haven't, that's fine. But what would you be looking for to get to that point where you're like, you know what, this is the one. This is the woman that I'm going to show everything to. What actions, what emotions, what everything takes place for that period of time. And the reason I'm asking that question is because women always ask, how do I know if he really is into me, if he loves me the way I love him? Well, actually, he doesn't. I can tell you that right now. We just discussed that for about 30 minutes earlier.
You a trade.
He doesn't love you the way you love him. He loves you the way he can love you, not the way you love him.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a comment from Carrie. She says, Fontes, you're on to something. You are not only forgiving yourself, but you're also inviting the person in a space an opportunity to heal. You both have an opportunity to walk away and release from a situation with love. And when I speak of love, I'm speaking universally.
Right.
Okay.
Agreed. And that's a part of how I do look at it, because like I just know love to be such a nurturing factor. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, you know, self-love is great, you know, but I do find that in situations, sometimes, like, you know how people always say, you know, you want to come to someone whole or not broken or with no baggage. But a lot of times we may not be the person destined to carry that baggage away. That self-love may not, in some situations, be that love that carries those factors away. Because if truth be told, love, just like you were talking about experience, we can experience love within ourselves a certain type of way, but to know it differently, we experience that in life and with others. And so there can be someone who can come into your life and they can drive something out of you, you know, that is a disruptor of you being able to carry the love that is truly within your heart. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it takes that special someone to fully release you or heal you or carry away, you know what I'm saying, like that, whatever that thorn in your flesh is.
See,
know?
that was my question. That special someone.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna start with you since you was going with it right there. As a man, that emotion when you find that special someone, what actions follow that emotion? Ladies, listen up. You'll hear from the whole panel. I'm not saying they like every man that's out there in the world, but this might give you some insight. So what emotions, what actions, what things happen when you find that person that you think that is love? Or not think, I guess feel and know that you perceive as love. How do you know?
The way I know is probably going to be all over the place, to be honest. I somewhat know it by feeling.
Okay.
I somewhat know it when I see it, you know. I'll just speak about how I knew what I knew or thought I knew with, you know, my current situation, or my ex.
It's
you know
complicated.
What I'm saying? Yeah.
It's complicated.
But anyway, like, so it was just, yeah, you know what I'm saying, technically. But yeah, it was just the presence, her presence, you know, just a woman's presence.
Presence. That's a good one.
The way she carries herself, and it's, for each man is going to be different because we all like different things. But you know, for me, it's a certain presence that I look at, that I'm sorry that I'm without words of describing that presence, but it is a certain presence that I know. It's a certain just essence that just comes off of her. It's a certain way that she may speak, a certain way that she's able to take in, you know, what I'm saying, and even give back, you know, some communication. And I don't know, it's just a whole connection that I feel, you know, through attraction.
So what actions change for you though? I mean, what actions change for you? You've been with women, obviously, but this particular one, what actions change for you?
I think, let's see. I love quality time. Like, I love a woman who, like, I love a woman who can, like, add to my value. Like, I want a woman who is sure of herself. A woman who is just, I'm trying to find the word.
Confidence is sexy.
Confidence, yes.
That's sexy. That's
Confidence.
But also, like, I do love a strong woman, a strong-minded woman. But I'm also that type of lover that, you know, wants to carry away, you know, your burdens, your frustrations, your anger. Like, I love vulnerability, because you'll be, like, if I'm entering into a love connection with you, I'm gonna be vulnerable.
Okay.
And I expect that vulnerability back. I expect for things to be reciprocated. I expect reciprocation in actions, in love shown and love chosen. You know, if I choose love in this action, you know, it's cool for you to choose love in this action. If, you know what I'm saying? That reciprocation, just that constant, I guess, all in all, that constant just connection. Always remaining connected, always remaining a unit. And yeah, like, those are the type of things.
Duke, what about you? When you find that love, Duke, what is it about you that changes actions and everything? When you find that woman that you feel is worth your time, worth all your energy, when you find that so-called love that we've been talking about here, and how men display their emotions, what is it about that woman? What do you do differently?
I know when I really do care for someone and love. Actually, if they say they're going to the store, I'm kind of worried. You know, I'm like, I hope they get there safe. Text me when you get there. You know, text me when you get home.
Right.
You know, and that's when I start to ask myself, like, wow, okay, damn, I really do dig her. You know, like that, because I'm concerned when she's, you know, traveling on the road.
As opposed to getting that Uber pool and be like, all right, holla.
I mean, you can tell me if you want to. No, they don't matter.
But also too, as you know, the quality time. You know, it's just nothing like just sitting there, just hanging out. You know, no matter the shape, the size of the woman. You know, when you just, you know, that look. You know, you just look at them and be like, damn, get up and go get me a glass of water.
Yeah.
I want to see that walk. And you sitting there and you know, and then you're making them blush because they don't want to do it no more. You know what I'm saying? They're like, nah, I ain't getting up. You know, but those types of things, that's when I know that, like, wow, okay, something about this person. I also like someone who is who challenged me because I have a very dominating personality. And sometimes, you know, the way I say things could come off as being very, you know, direct and harsh.
Okay.
And
women need that though, right? Or you need that
more.
No,
well, the thing is, that's just my personality. I'm not.
Come on, Hammer.
I'm not sitting.
Exactly. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on, brother.
Ain't nothing but a nail.
Getting that wood, girl. Getting that wood. Understand me?
But I always, the thing that I always say is that that's not, when you get to know me, you know that's not me. And the ones who get to know me, they understand. They're like, you know what, that did sound kind of harsh, but I know that you wasn't meaning it that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right, I wasn't. Was it that harsh? So finding that person who understands me, take the time to understand me, is great because, you know, the exterior seems hard. But the fact of the matter is I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not like that. That's just the way I speak. That's the way I'm just straight to the point and very direct in the way I articulate. So it takes a special woman. And if I find that, you know, the woman that I'm dealing with, you know, takes the time just to understand, like, oh, you know, okay, yeah, you said it that way, you know, that come off as harsh, and challenge me on certain things, that's awesome. I'm not talking about being combative, but it's just to ask me, you know, why are you saying those things? To get me to articulate.
Okay.
And that gets me to communicate and open myself up. Because, you know, and also too, I want a woman to ask me, yo, what makes you the person you are?
Yeah.
Because that generally let me know this person wants to get to know me. Because most of the time, when we talking to women, we always asking the questions.
Yeah.
You don't want to say too much because
that's true.
You don't want to ruin the opportunity. But it's nothing like when a woman asks that question, yeah, what makes you the person you are? Because now it's like, wow. So you give them a generic answer, then hey, so tell me about your family. You know, you go right back to them.
Deflect.
So those things, you know, those things for me, that's how I know that that love will make me change because I generally want this person to get to know me. You know, I want to understand that, hey, you know what, I recognize I got these, you know, not issues, but, you know, particular quirks that could come off as being, you know, being rude or things of that nature, but that's not the person I am. Okay. I'm typically more of a, you know, helper. And that's why the profession I chose, you know, typically is working with people.
Okay.
You know, I got, you know, counseling degree, you know, worked in higher education with student athletes, things like that. Was a counselor in corrections, you know what I'm saying?
Here to serve.
That's me, you know, so yes, the exterior may sound like, yo, he's a prick, but that's not me. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact of the matter is, I love to help in individuals. So,
I got you.
well, actually, me working in corrections will do that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit harder exterior.
Yeah. You gotta be tough.
Carrie had a comment.
Okay.
She said, love is innate. Everyone has it. It's when we pull away from our truest form, we harm ourselves. We were made from love, so to shut it out is an unnatural process. Belief in love actually being a true energy inside of you has you walking differently and upright. And it's like walking around outside on a sunny day and holding up an umbrella and then questioning about the existence of the sun. The resistance is what creates the doubt. Put your guard down and let the love and light in.
Okay. That is deep.
Shoot, is she a poet? Come on out.
Yeah.
Share some of that. Rock with us. Yeah, that's a beautiful sentiment right there.
Yeah.
But it's you ask about what we look for in women and what changes from that point. For me, it's 3 elements. It's self-love, it's beauty inside and out,
Yeah.
and it's that self-love, that beauty, and that standard. Those 3 things completes the idea of what my queen is right there. And it's those things that we look for as men, because we want that woman with that standard, so no man can just approach her outside of this environment that we build. And how we change is we look to build that environment for that queen once we have her.
Yeah.
We look to create that stable environment for her. So that's how we change, and how we do it may be different.
Right.
How we execute it. You talked about earlier with, like you were talking about ego.
Yep.
And pride, and pride is often mislabeled ego. So what's the difference
That's a good point.
between the two? That's why you need a word on front of pride like foolish. Because they're 2 different things.
You hit us over the head. You hit us over the head.
and I'm gonna go deeper into it. Ego is self-centered.
Okay.
Like if you look up a word like pride, it refers to a group of lions. So
Yes,
pride
pride.
is actually bigger than you. So that's why there's a such thing as black pride.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
The word in front of it.
Right.
Okay.
Like that's something that's genuine. That's something that's bigger than you, and you're involved in that process. So with that mislabeling, we think that, okay, I'm a man, I'm prideful. That's actually a good thing. You should have pride because you represent something that's bigger than you.
Okay.
A man represents family.
Yes.
A man represents his woman.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So that's something to be prideful about.
That's my pride.
Now it can turn foolish. That's when you have ego. That's what creates the problem.
Watch out now.
So now when you find that queen, you have her, she's in your sights.
Yeah.
That's the time to get rid of that ego and come to grips with what that pride thing is all about.
So let me put to y'all this way then. So we talking about finding that queen. You actually get into my next point, because I want to tell y'all exactly for me how I look at it, especially when I find that person.
Right.
When I was younger versus now is 2 different things.
Absolutely.
When I was younger, for me to find that person meant that I had to find someone that made me feel good. So I had to find that person that looked a certain way, so I could display them a certain way,
Right.
so I could feel a certain way around them.
A trophy.
Oh my gosh! I was looking for my trophy. I wanted to get my reward.
Right.
I wanted to go out there, hunt something, and be like, "Yeah, this is what I got right here.
Yes.
I got this chick right here." Interestingly enough, that changed for me
Right.
after divorce, after dealing with times running around there doing what I had to do after divorce.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. I got to the point now, or I've gotten to that point in the last probably maybe a few years, where I wrote out a list. I literally wrote out a list of exactly what I wanted my woman to be.
That's big.
It's a long list too. Funny enough about this list, and I can share this because it don't bother me. My list when I first wrote it had everything in there.
Right.
Everything. I was like, I'm looking for this.
Shoe size, hair
Everything.
colors. I want the lashes to be exactly.
And that's where I made my mistake.
Yeah.
I wrote my list based on wants, and then this is how God works. This is how the universe works. Architect. This is how he works, right?
Okay.
He or she works. This is how the architect works. You say what you want. You write out what you want.
Right.
You're gonna get
Get
what you want.
Right? Exactly what you want.
And then you're gonna realize, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? Oh, I actually wanted her to be like
But she
this.
ain't intelligent.
Right.
So I
You
wrote
put it on
down
a list.
all the characteristics of things that I saw on the outside.
That's a good
Right.
point.
Aesthetics.
I got it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they was assholes. Then I started changing my list. And I encourage most men to do that. Right? Find out, think about what you want, write it out. You'll get it in like 2-3 months. You'll be surprised. She'll pop up at you at the grocery store and you'll be like, I get this. Oh, you asked for it.
Manifestation, law of attraction works.
Yes.
So you don't find it, you attract it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She don't find you, she attracts you.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what I ended up getting. So with my list, I was like, I started changing my list out, taking different things out, adding different things in, and I got that too. Then I was like, oh shoot, I need to be more.
forgot.
You know what I had to realize? I had to be more specific. Not Pacific like the water. Specific.
Not Pacific. I gotta be
Specific on exactly what I wanted. Because then I started realizing that I'm not actually putting out there exactly what I need.
What you
I'm just
need,
putting
just
out,
what
oh
you
yeah,
want.
what I want, what
What
I want is
looks
this, what I
good.
want is
Wow.
that. I started breaking down who she had to be emotionally, who she had to be spiritually.
Yeah.
On top, that was only who she had to be physically, obviously, and I looked at the mental health and all that type of stuff too.
Right.
But I was so caught up on all these other things.
So brother, do you already have one book? See,
Going into a segue right here.
inside your library.
Exactly. And that's why I had to realize I had to write it out. Now, in writing things out, obviously, writing therapy, we're here talking about emotions and things like that.
Absolutely.
You find a connection within yourself, and that's why I was talking about writing it out, because you find a connection within yourself where you realize what you really want. And as men, we sometimes have to figure out what we don't want to know what we do want. And that's where the writing is therapy. That's where our emotions and everything come into pack. That's why you may see men go into our cave. Because sometimes we just don't know, ladies, what we
Right.
really want. We can't just spew out a whole bunch of, I need this, and go back and forth. Sometimes you have to kind of catch
Gotta
yourself
go think about it.
and got to go think about it. And then thinking about it, you have to figure it all out. And that's what I had to do. And that's why I had this panel on today. Oh, wow, I got a lot of people watching. That's why I had this panel on today, is because, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Word.
Now, normally, y'all, we pretty much at the 2-hour mark. I know they probably didn't realize we went 2 hours, but we at the 2-hour mark. We started around 7:45. It's like 9:45 right now. And before we obviously close out, and obviously being writing this therapy, and this is like our second installment in this with the poets here in Atlanta. We'll be doing a third installment on the, what does that board say? The 20th, I believe. The 20th, we're doing the third installment. But I realized that bringing this up the way we bring this up, it won't be our last installment. But I want to first thank all my guests for being here. Definitely appreciate it. But I want to give them some last final words on this topic about men and probably understanding your emotions. So we'll just go round robin until we end right back here, and then I'll go ahead back and reintroduce all of them just to make sure you know who we with. So, Duke, we'll start with you. Any final words?
Yeah, what I was just say is that us as men, we're like a Rubik's cube. We kind of difficult to solve. Emotionally, I think that getting to understand what makes us the person we are. If there's a universal connection, try to just make sure that you just get an understanding who we are. Ask questions, and hopefully the person who you're asking questions to want to communicate that to you. If they don't want to communicate to you, then maybe a situation may need to move on. But you should get to understand how that person became who he is.
Okay. LM?
I think a lot of emotion, to get a guy to be more emotional, I think the number one thing is that, not that you're just his girlfriend, but it has to be a level of comfort. He has to be comfortable with you. So even when you like somebody, just because you guys date doesn't necessarily mean you feel comfortable telling them your deepest and darkest secrets. It has to be someone that you connect with, that you feel comfortable telling them. And then if they want to tell you, they will tell you. You don't have to press it. if you got to tell me no, that's not how it works with us. You have to build up a level of comfort to where they feel comfortable telling you anything without thinking about backlashes or things like that. You don't want to tell a woman something and then later on you're going to hear it.
So that goes
that's
back
not why
to
you want to tell them.
your heart is the same way we view our hearts, the same way women view their bodies. That whole thing, like we're vulnerable there.
Yeah.
You may be vulnerable in how you picture or imagine your body, but we're vulnerable in how we let people in our hearts.
Right.
True.
Right.
Okay. Sincere?
I'm gonna keep it clear cut and simple.
Read the book.
All right. The clearer your definition, the clearer the result. Now, whether we talking manhood, whether we talking love, that's real. What you were talking about with writing down what you need first, and you can get what you want.
Okay.
But once we change the priority, we gonna get a result from
a
that.
lot of way.
True.
You know, it's just like wanting those shoes or wanting that purse. Next week, you're going to want something else.
True.
But when the definition starts with a need, you can always get what you want because one has a priority over the other.
That's facts. I evolved my list to go from physical attributes on top to more emotional, spiritual ones on top, and then the physical ones to follow.
There you go. There you go. And you can have that. And the key, and an example of that is my wife wrote out her needs and her wants. I wrote out my needs and my wants. And we connected in the middle. Now we call it marriage.
All right.
I'm kind of jealous.
This brother got something good.
Eddie got
I better get that book.
That's what I'm talking about.
30 love laws.
Get connected.
Get that book.
Treat yourself.
Fontaine, is on you.
Well, in talking about, men and expressing their emotions, the way I kind of look at it, the reason why I'm so adamant about expressing myself, my emotions, these deep, heartfelt thoughts or emotions, I kind of look at it as like a factor of life and death. The point in my life where it really clicked for me to not be so, I guess, that everybody's idea of masculinity, being so closed into self and just being so tough, was when my grandfather passed away. My grandfather passed away of prostate cancer. My grandfather was like my everything, man.
Was he your definition of a man?
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. Even to this day. And one thing he told me was, because I always told him I wanted to be just like him, but he always told me to be better than him. And so when I was able to walk away, which, I never speak anything bad, but there's certain things that I learned from him, even in things that you would consider, wrong or right. But I learned from both aspects. But one thing that struck me is because it took him some time to even express certain things that he was feeling with his body. By the time he had expressed it, he was at stage 4, and it was, terminal. And so, in kind of understanding that whole process, it was like, that whole idea of, being so reserved or being so, you want to act like everything is all right. You want to, you want to be this tough, you know what I'm saying? And it's nothing so wrong about it, but it's just like everything is within perspective. Balance creates stability. So, and it's just like, so from that, I just vowed to myself that I would never, harbor my emotions like that. And from there, my whole aspect of how, live my life and kind of being has been because of that. I look at it as a form of life and death. Like I gotta express this. Somebody either has to hear this because they may be in a situation of life and death, and my expression of my emotions and the understanding of it may lead them to choose life as opposed to death. And it just kind of, goes all around, but that's what it's been.
So that's knowing your purpose. I always say we're here to serve. Knowing your purpose is a great thing. Once again, I want to thank my guests. As you guys know, as the host go around the table here, we have to my far right, your left, Duke. We also got LM.
LM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my two special guests tonight have been sincere.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to Amazon.com, cop the book.
Show them
30
again. Show them. You got to show them again. Plug
Catch me in the streets with them. Shoot, I'm popping them out the trunk. I'm like Master P back in the 30 Love Love. We're going to fix all of this craziness we got going on with relationships.
And where is the location of your poetry sets that you have every second Friday?
It's at Lithonia, the Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore. It's not only a bookstore and cultural center, it's an experience.
Okay.
Okay.
Check
You see
them
that
out.
book for sir?
Awesome plug.
Check
Come
them
on,
out.
gotta plug it a little bit closer. Man. You gotta bring it up. You gotta let them see it. See the name?
See the font?
See the back? See the front?
And I have my government name on there because this is a family legacy.
There you go. There you go. Where can they find you on social media?
Sincere, SINSEAR, and then the conventional spelling is sincere. It's sincere, SINSEAR, SINCERE.
All right.
Facebook, Instagram.
There we go. Facebook and Instagram. Look them up, and you'll see once again, like how I said, play around. You'll see his name up here, right here.
There you go.
And also we have the poet Fontez. And Fontez, where can they find you at and your social media, all that good stuff?
Instagram is Fontez_C. That's FONTES_C. Facebook, Chris Fontez. So yeah.
There we go. Hey, once again, guys, thanks for tuning in. This show has been about, obviously, men, their emotions, how we interpret them, how they're interpreted by others, and how we deal with them. I appreciate everybody that had comments. I really will go back and we'll make sure we get to everyone's comments, because I know there were tons of comments we didn't get to, just based on the nature of how everything is. But please do me a favor, like and share this particular show, and then it's also on YouTube. You know where you can find us. Real Talk to You across all media platforms. That's REALTALK, the number 2, the letter U. I also want to go ahead and thank our sponsor for the show today, which is My Life is T-shirts. As you see right here,
Yeah.
we got our shirts. My Life is T-shirts.
I need mine. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get.
Need mine.
I got his in the car somewhere. I don't know where the hell
Hey, I gotta switch this out to extra large.
I feel
man.
left
This
out.
too
Too
big.
big?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I got XL on.
Yeah, man. This too
Yeah.
big, bro.
No worries. We don't worry. Hey, they're supporting
This
us.
ain't the early 2000s.
They're
man.
supporting us for this show here, and they'll support us again for other shows too going in the future. So once again, folks, thanks for tuning in. And as you know, right about this time, the after show has just begun.
Look at the family in here tonight.
Right.
Yeah, what's happening? Everybody feeling good? Yeah. All right. We're going to raise the vibration a little bit tonight. If y'all like with that, say all right. All right. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sincere. I'm a poet, speaker, and author. But most importantly, I like to say that I'm a proud husband and your brother. So if you're all right with that, let me hear you say all right. All right. All right. So we're going to get into this piece right here. And then I'll tell y'all a little bit more about what's going on in the world of Sincere, all right? So check this out. She obeys my every command. With instrument in hand and plan in mind as I stroke her from the front, side, and behind. Sometimes, not even being able to sleep. You see, that's just how deep it is for me. I am forever infatuated and eternally elated to have known her for so long. Yet, the loving is so strong. It's as if we met yesterday. You see, my insides burn with a passion for as I can't stand to be away. Since living proof that blessings do exist because I see her every day. And I say that to say that she makes me feel some kind of way when we into what we're doing, strictly business, and there's no time for play. When I'm down and out at times, she's hell-bent on making me feel okay. When I'm inside of her at times, she overcomes me with emotion. She's never worried about me stepping out on her because she has my dying devotion. I'm drunk off her spirit as if the shit's some kind of love potion. I'm sailing in her ocean, making every attempt to reach that place, and she uses me to her advantage and still manages to keep a smile on my face. But she has to be smitten with me too, you see, because she just won't leave me alone. I guess that's what happens when you're giving it to her right. You're making a foundation to build that on. My heart, it beats to the rhythm of her song. And whenever she moves, I feel an obligation to tag along. And right now, I'm a complete man because she's made this house her home. She is the orchestrator of these soulful words. I'm perfect for her and she's perfect for me. Or her name, although she could go by many, quite simply, I call her poetry. Thank y'all for listening. Just like my brother said, I am the host of a beautiful show every second Friday of the month. It's called the Arts and Culture Show. And if you would like to reach out to me, it's Sincere on Facebook and IG, SINSEAR, Sincere, the conventional spelling. Y'all know as artists, we like to mess up spellings and call it creative. All right? So y'all reach out to me. I don't only want y'all to see what I got going on. I support the community and I want to know what you got going on. And I also talked about my book, which is the 30 Love Laws, which took me 15 years of research to put together what we call that word love. And now me and my wife, we live that blueprint each and every day. So if we're having trouble with that thing, there's folks in the community to help us out. So peace and love. Thank you for listening. Enjoy my brother Poppy Picasso. He's going to come up here and kill it. It's going down tonight, y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Peace and love.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall. And in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me that I need a... Y'all know this already? Yeah. My bad. So when I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the door, wishing that walking through once more would be you. And you see, the thought occurred in my mind that I need true love and a good woman I must find. And I can't forever be blind to these facts. The multiple mishaps that I had with love came from me playing games with many hearts, creating many sparks that led them to believe that flames of love would burst soon after. And we shared lots of good times with laughter, yet when true commitment was demanded, things would change. And I would never allow those sparks burst into flames of truth hurt, so I played games, watered down truth, and left you hurting alone. And I now know that I'm wrong, so tears start to flow from my eyes. I realize that you are a dove, so sweet, so gentle, sent from above, and I'm so unworthy of your touch, let alone your heart. And you see, one part of me deserves to be alone, deferred from the world, just void. But the other part, because of you, makes me feel like I'm worthy of the love, warmth, and affection that is created by a girl and a boy. I need love. How sweet it must be to have a woman in my life to make my life complete. And I want the type of woman who can bring life to me. My wife to be the type I see when I close my eyes to imagine. Such a wonderful thought and sight to fathom, yet I would rather be having you by my side. The type of woman who will be Bonnie to this cloud and simply put my ride or die, so it's no wonder why I constantly love you without stopping. And anything you tell me about yourself, baby, I'm jotting it down because I care about every fact concerning you. You are my wish come true, my very heart's beat. And if you were cold, I would be your heat. If you were falling, I would be your crane. And I know that you are tired of being hurt, so please allow me to be your change. I want to estrange you from the pains you felt from your past lovers. Allow my love in a very real way, but their mistakes right up under the covers, leaving them to disappear like a magician. Allow my real love to partition you from the fake. Can't shake, break, or tarnish what we have, baby. I grasp at every breath. that I get with you. But where are you at? You got me searching here and there. I swear I'm simply yearning true love, or should I say I'm simply yearning you? Love. Desperately searching like a fiend. If you know who you are, stand up, jump around, speak aloud. Please just simply make yourself seen. Take this chance and love with me, and I promise that you will find out just what I mean. I'm a good man. I promise to be honest and true, making you my bride when I find you. And I will always remind you of my love. I will go above and beyond. I will do, I won't just try. Because when I finally find you, I will take heed to that opportunity, and I promise I will pour all of my love inside. I need love. I want to kiss and hold you. Help mold you to be the woman you're called to be. And I'll help carry that vision. I'll see to it that you live your best life. Be the best wife as I vow to be the best husband. Always providing good loving, because having such a good woman provides fuel to our moments of ecstasy. Never go away, never leave me alone. I always want you next to me. However, if we ever have to be apart, let's be sure to converse via video messaging or over the phone. And you see, the sound of your voice is my favorite tone, and conversations with you creates my favorite songs. SWV, I'm weak. My heart skips beats when you're next to me. And I crave the whole you, because the whole you brings out the best in me. And you mean so much to me from the inside out. And I'll shout my love for you on mountain tops. Make mountains drop if they are ever too high for you to reach me. And I hope you hear it in my voice how badly I need thee. Oh, love. You see, I hope to rise above my desires for love brought to fruition. But how can I find you? Learn more about you. I'm willing to pay whatever tuition to be able to learn your curriculum. And no core classes, baby, I'm skipping them because my major concern is to learn more about you. Sign me up for classes right now, because I can't take another day without you. And I often fantasize about a time that you and I can share. Me pulling your hair, grabbing your neck, rubbing your body, it's so soft, you're so wet, and I love how you feel. You got me hard as steel, I peel your panties back. Our bodies get closer and interact. We break into heavy breathing, then heavily begin to sweat. And no, this is only a fantasy. I know that it'll become real, it just hasn't yet. But when it does, I know that you and I will create an experience that I will never forget. I need love. Thank you. Y'all definitely follow me on Instagram, Fontes_C, FONTES_C. I appreciate y'all for listening.
And I hope you guys enjoyed our show. Once again, Real Talk to You. And if you want to see this entire poetry set, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe. We post all our newest content there. Real Talk to You.